Welcome to this week's Thoughtful Thursday. And this week, I wanted to pick up on something that we touched on in this week's Mindful Monday meditation, where I was using this phrase where the mind goes, energy flows. And I found myself saying it, and I'm sure it's not mine. I probably heard it somewhere else, but I said it and I liked it, and I said it a few more times. And it got me thinking that this is really a core principle of part of how we're working to calm and reset the nervous system. One of the tendencies we can have is when we're trying to change patterns of thinking or we're trying to calm our mind, that we try to think our way to calmness. We try and think our way into a healing state. The problem is the more that we do that, actually, the more energy that goes to our mind, the more we activate the mind, and therefore the more wired and triggered that we potentially end up becoming. And for the body to heal, we have to be in a healing state. To get in a healing state, we need to be in our body. And when I say be in our body, I mean our kind of center of gravity, our center of kind of consciousness from which we meet the world is not just existing up here in our mind. When we're too much in our mind, we feel often a bit dizzy. We often feel quite anxious because there's lots of kind of adrenaline fueling all of that thinking. We feel emotionally disconnected. So we're often not in touch with our heart and with our feelings and emotions. And we can even feel quite numb to the world, like the extreme version of this being almost like depersonalization, like we just feel numb, we feel disconnected from things. And so one of the things that can be really helpful in terms of really coming out of the mind and calming the mind is shifting our attention, shifting our focus. If our mind comes more into our body, we become more aware of our bodily sensations. We become more aware of our feelings, of our heart, of our emotions. We're really listening to what our body is trying to communicate to us. That as we shift our attention in that way, that's where our energy starts to go. It's where our kind of focus starts to go. And that will have a powerful impact in calming the mind. The more our attention is on our body, the more the mind will calm. Now, part of the challenge tends to be here that if we have a chronic illness and we have symptoms and we have discomfort in our body, that we almost go to our mind as a way of trying to escape that. Like we almost don't want to feel the fatigue or the muscle pain or the discomfort that's there. But then we sort of end up in a vicious circle because we're constantly trying to get away from what's happening in the body. We're wiring the nervous system. We're perpetuating symptoms by being in an ongoing perpetual stress state, which means the more we disconnect, the worse our body feels, the less we want to be in our body. The more we calm and the more we come into the body and settle it, what we'll tend to find is often symptoms may change as a result. We may go from feeling tired and wired and that really kind of unpleasant feeling to just feeling more tired. And it may be more of a pleasant feeling of tiredness. Or we may go from having kind of maybe some discomfort and pain, but there's also all this stuff of why is this pain there and it never goes away, and should I rest and will I feel better, and should I take this, should I do that? And it's like a lot of that calms. You may still have some of the pain and discomfort, but you haven't got pain about pain. Like you're not fueling or driving the pattern by all the reactions and responses. It's also much easier to listen to the body if you're in the body, if you're actually getting the information. And the more we disconnect, the less we listen, the more we tend to overdo it, the worse we tend to feel. So we can't think our way out of our mind. You don't solve a problem at the level the problem is being created. If the problem is being created by too much thinking, and then we try to think our way out of thinking, we just go round. We need to feel our way out of thinking. Where your mind goes, energy flows. If you move your attention, if you move your focus into your body, you will find that your kind of system calms and settles as you come more into it. So then the question becomes, what helps the energy flow into the body? Like what helps us come out of our mind? And the first thing is awareness. If you can see it, you don't have to be it. If you can see, hang on, I'm way too much in my mind. I need to do something to calm my mind and come back down more into my body. Meditation can really help that. All the meditations that I do on the Mindful Mondays, they're all body-focused meditations. So I don't teach, for example, transcendental meditations, which is about almost getting in a bliss state or a disconnected from the body state. My focus is constantly come back to the body, come back to the breath, come back to your felt experience. So meditation can be very helpful. But there are also other things that can help. Being in nature is one of the reasons why people can love to be walking on a beach or in a forest or somewhere where nature is intoxicating. Be that the smells, be it the visuals, be it the sounds. There's something about being in nature which reconnects us to our own bodies. It's like we come back to our kind of biological caveman or cavewoman kind of self in that connection with nature. So being in nature can be a really good way of energy flowing back into the body and coming out of the mind. Physical intimacy can be a great way of doing this. Be that cuddling, be that sex, be that just kind of being in close proximity to other people. That gives a certain physical, emotional holding, as long as we feel good with those people we're with. It gives us a physical, emotional holding that also invites us more back into the body. Just having sensation in the body, that alone draws our energy, draws our attention to the feeling and the experience of that. Sport and movement can be a great way of doing this. Obviously, if we're limited in energy, we need to be considered in terms of what that might be. Gentle yoga, or any kind of yoga or Pilates or kind of movement where you're really paying attention to posture, you're paying attention to the breath, you're coming back to your experience. That's a really good way of where the mind goes, energy flows, that you're bringing your mind back into your body in those practices. Doing things that connect us emotionally, like things that bring us into our hearts, that will also help bringing you back into your body. So, for example, that can even be watching movies that are kind of emotional in the kind of tone of how they impact us. Doing, if we're artistic, doing art or playing music, listening to music. These are all ways of feeling emotion that allow us to connect more deeply and more fully. One of the things that I find is the most helpful for me in terms of kind of calming my mind and coming into my body is having hot baths. Like I'm a water person. Like water really impacts and benefits me. So almost religiously in the evening after work, I either go for a swim or sometimes I just go and lie in the sauna, steam room and jacuzzi. Or if if I go straight home, it may be that I have a hot bath. If there's not even time for a hot bath, I will have a hot shower. But any sort of contact with water, for me, really helps me connect and come into my body. So I wonder what those things might be for you. And if you're limited in your physical capacity, it's being sometimes a bit more creative of finding what those things might be. But if you can understand that where your mind goes, your energy flows, if you can bring your mind more into your body, your energy flows more into your body. And if you can be more in your body, it's easier. You're in a more of a healing state. You can listen. You can get the information from your body. You're more connected to your emotional body, the more you're connected to your physical body. So you can't think your way out of your mind. You need to feel your way out of your mind. And that's almost like a shift in awareness. That sometimes we're sort of going on this kind of train of thinking, and then we shift and we just feel the feeling of our feet, and feel the feeling of our hands, feeling the sensation of breath, feeling the weight of our body. It's something I talk about a lot in guided meditations, really feeling the body's weight on the ground. all of that helps us connect more deeply and more fully and really land into our body. And in landing in our body, that is where not just healing happens, but it's where physical healing happens, but it's where emotional healing happens. It's where we're much more connected to the world around us. And this is not an anti-mind position. The mind has all kinds of wonderful things to offer us, but it is not the way to get into a calm healing state. We can't think our way there. We need to feel our way there. So I hope that's been helpful. Tomorrow it's Feel Good Friday, and we will have another of our Secrets to Recovery stories, and then we're going to start recording some new recovery stories in the next few weeks as well. So look forward to talking with you tomorrow.